Hey everyone, it's Jill the Wandering Stamper. I hope you're having a great day. As you can see behind me, we are having a rainy day. It's been very odd in Colorado. It doesn't usually rain that much, and it's been raining. It rained all night, it rained all day, it rained yesterday. I think it rained the last 3 days, so it's kind of weird. It doesn't rain that much here. We're kind of in a deserty area, but it's super nice, and the weather's cooled down, and we have the windows open, so can't complain about that. So today we are going to make a double pillar window card. Look at this card. It's so super cool, super easy to make, and the sky's the limit on what you can do with it. So I'm going to take a moment to turn the camera down so that we can get started on making this card. Thanks for joining me today. Here are the products we're going to be using today. We're going to use this beautiful Country Flowers stamp set and the coordinating dies. I have my dies on magnet sheets right now, so they're easy to grab, but the dies are fabulous. And the stamp sets are so nice. And don't forget, the Country Flowers stamp set and dies also coordinate with the Country Birdhouse stamps and dies. So if you have both of these and the papers, if you have the whole suite of products, oh my gosh, you'll have everything to make twice as many things. So it's really a great suite. So we're going to use that today. And then I've coordinated it with the Country Woods paper, designer series paper. So these are bits and pieces I'm going to use. I'm going to be using some of these for die cuts, some of these for the background of the frame, and of course our card base is going to be Pool Party, which as you can see color coordinates nicely. And then I've done some die cutting and coloring ahead of time so that we have more time to just focus on creating the card. So those are the pieces we're using. I also use lots of alcohol blends, and I'll let you know what I used for those as we get to that section. Let me get my cart pulled over and grab my paper cutter, and then I think we're ready to get started. And don't forget, I'll have a link to all of my cutting instructions and cutting, scoring instructions, assembly, all the products I use. So make sure you click on the link below to get that. It will take you to my blog and my website. And also don't forget to subscribe so that you get notification of all my videos. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. So again, this is a double pillar window card, double pillar window card. So we're going to start out with a base of 5.5 by 8.5. So I'm just cutting this sheet of paper in half, so you could make two cards with this very easily. Hoping I'm in your window view. Okay, let me do a little double check. I am. Okay. Sometimes I get a little bit out of whack, I know, and that bothers me. Okay, and I'm going to score this 5.5 by 8.5. I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. So that's basic. That's a basic card base. All right. So we're going to set that piece aside, and then you're going to need another piece of Pool Party, and that's going to be 4 3/4 by 3 3/8. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this at 3 3/8. And what did I say? 4 3/4. Okay, so that is another piece of our window. Then you're going to want a designer series paper that will look really nice on the front. So I've chosen this wood grain paper. I think it's really cool for a frame, and it kind of incorporates some of the other pieces that I'm going to cut in there as well. So you're going to want a piece of designer series paper cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So I think I'm going to figure out what I want to use. I think I'm going to use this end. So I'm going to cut 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm actually only going to cut it at the 4-inch mark because I don't want to cut it all the way across because I might want to use this paper for something else. So to do that, I'm going to put this back on my cutter, move that down to where I need it to be, and then just cut that out there. So now I've cut less of my paper and I can use it for other things. So again, this is 4 by 5 1/4. So we've got that piece. And then you're going to want another piece. Let me move some of my pieces out of the way. This is going to be for the inside of the card, and this is going to be 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. So that's our inside of our card. And then you're going to want a piece for the front window, and that's going to be 3.5 by 2 3/4. So I've already cut that for you because I had some scraps left over from another card I was making. Okay, and then you want just lots of die cuts to decorate. So I've die cut a lot of pieces ahead of time. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to use, so I went ahead and just stamped and die cut. And I'm missing one piece. It must be floating around here somewhere. But I've stamped and die cut several of them already, so they are ready to go. And I'm going to set these aside, and hopefully I come across, I'm missing my leaves. Hopefully I will come across them somewhere on my desk as we're making this card. Hopefully. I'm looking. I'm missing a set of leaves. All right, well, we'll worry about that when we need to worry about that. I probably have dropped it somewhere. All right, so we're going to start out with our card base. So our card base is standard. So what we want to do is we're going to be creating the frames for our card. So that is where this piece comes in. Now we're going to go through this part together because it could be confusing if you don't. So hopefully you have the rectangled stitch dies. If not, you could figure out the dimensions you need and cut yourself out a rectangle, but these rectangle stitches dies make the work really easy. They come with lots and lots of rectangle dies, but I'm going to use these. And you're going to need, for the Designer Series paper frames, you're going to need 2 dies. You're going to need the 3rd largest one and the 5th largest one. So I just count 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to need this one, 4, 5. This one. So when you have them in order, it's super easy. So once you have them, then you want to get some type of tape. So I've got some of this. Let me get the container for you. Where did I put it? I've got some of this Post-it labeling tape. I use this a lot, so that's what I'm using. I can use it over and over. So what I like to do is put the first frame over the Designer Series paper and get it where it looks pretty even on all 4 sides. And then once I'm happy with it, I tape it down. So that looks pretty good. So then I just hold it tightly until I get it taped down, and I tape those 2 corners down. And then once I have that piece in place, then I grab this piece and do the same thing. So I just want to get this pretty straight and pretty even. All right, it is forgiving. So if you don't get it exactly right, it's okay. I haven't had one. I know I don't do everything exactly right, and I haven't had one look bad yet. So, all right, so that's basically what we have. So I'm going to grab my die cutting machine, and I know this might be a little crazy on your screen. Bear with me a second while I run this through. So I'm just going to place this on there. Run that through. And we're going to set those aside for a second. As you know, I'm in an RV, so my space is small, so I'm going to move things around a lot. Okay, so now that we have those cut, I'm going to carefully take this tape off because I'm going to use it again. All right, so now you have, this is an extra piece, you can just set that aside, and now you have your 2 frame pieces. So I'm going to put those back on there, and so the outside frame fits perfectly right here on the front of your card base. All right, see where I'm going with that? So now we have this other piece that we cut, and as you can see, that frame fits really well, but we've got to cut out the middle. So in order to cut out the middle perfectly, you want to grab your 5th largest rectangles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's actually one of the ones we just used. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to center this as close as you can, making sure everything's pretty straight. I'm trying to do this without putting my head in the camera. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to tape that down. I'm just going to tape two sides on that one. We're going to put this over here. And let me grab my... I like it better when I'm using my smaller one because it's a little more manageable at the table, but this is large, so just use my bigger cutter. This one is actually easier to use anyways, in my opinion. It's just very heavy and bulky, and RV life, not always so easy to use heavy and bulky. All right, so there's that one. Let me get these plates out of the way and take this off. All right, now we have an extra piece here you can use for something else as well. So if you have those rectangle stitch dies, those work perfectly. If not, you can just create, just figure out the dimensions you need for your frames and cut them out yourself with your paper cutter. You can just mark your lines and cut all four corners. All right, so let's go ahead and grab the bone folder and give this a good crease. All right, and we're going to glue this down. So I'm just going to grab my glue press. There's a little goober on there. And I'm going to put some glue on here. I need to fill this up. It's getting a little bit low. All right. When you use your liquid glue, you have a moment to move things around. So liquid glue is great for this card. All right, so I don't know how I did that, but I managed to get that straight the first time. So that piece is done. And this will be going ultimately over it. So we're going to do the same thing here. All right, and then the inside of this die fits the inside. I should be using my silicone craft sheet right now. I just realized I don't have it out. I'm gonna hope we're safe. So all I did was just line it up with the inside edges of this. So that is done. We're gonna set that piece aside. Now there was one other piece you need to cut, and you want to create the two pillars. So you need, what I like to do is, let me find my, so you want a 1 7/8 by 6 inch piece of designer series paper. So I just grab whatever. So I'm doing, let me see, I want to make sure this is 6 inches, yes. So 1 7/8 by 6 inches. All right, and I like to do it this way because I only have to score once. So now we're going to be scoring 3/8 inch cubes, right? Or sections. So I'm going to put this on the 3/8 inch line and score. All right, and then I pushed that down hard. Hopefully I didn't. No, I didn't. Okay, so it's 3/8 inch, and then you're going to move it to the 3/4 inch score line. All right, and then you're going to move it to the 1 1/8 inch score line. And then you're going to move it to the 1 1/2 inch score line. Okay. Now that you've got that scored, go to turn it so the long side is at the top, and then cut it in half. So that'll be cut at 3 inches. So now you have two pieces, but they're already both scored. I like to do it that way so we only have to score once. So now grab your bone folder, and you're just going to give each one of these a good crease. And this is a great time to make sure you did everything straight. Usually it's pretty easy to do. We're not working with anything crazy. All right, so we've got these 4 pieces. See, I did push it a little too hard, but it'll be okay. It will be fine. Sometimes I just pushed it down really hard. I was a little aggressive with it. So if you put a little liquid glue in there and then just fold it in half like that, it's perfect. And then I like to burnish it with the bone folder and then open it the other way and burnish it again, because I want to make sure that it's going to lay flat no matter which way it's squished. Let me get this craft sheet out because I can already feel myself making a bit of a mess. Found it. It's right in front of me. All right, so I glued that together, and so we've got our first little pillar. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to score each one of these little sections. Just like that. Then we're going to glue. Take the halfway, the second score line is basically halfway, and press them together, and then open it the other way and give it one more crease. See what I did? Look, I scored this one too hard, but that's okay. We're going to make another one. See what happens sometimes? Well, at least you know now that's what happens if you press too hard when you're scoring. So I have this scrap. We're just going to use this scrap and make another one real quick. So we've got 3/8 inch, not pushing too hard, 3/4 inch, 1 1/8 inch. This is great to use your scoring, what is that thing called? Your scoring, you know, the big square scoring, whatever it's called. I don't bring mine out very often because it's inconvenient in my RV sometimes, but it is very handy for things like this that have lots of scoring. So if I made a lot of these, I would pull that out. I can't think of what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, so now I'm just going to crease these, and since I didn't push so hard, they are perfect. I just didn't know my own strength on that one. All right, let's do this again. Okay. So those are all the pieces that you need to create this card. It's super easy. Once you've made one, you can crank out so many. And no matter what stamp set you use, you can create some really cool stuff. All right, so that's done. So now we have our card, we have our second window, we have our 2 pillars. All right, so I'm going to take these 2 pillars. I like to go ahead and put the pillars in place, so I don't have to worry about that. That's done, and it gives them a moment to dry. So I'm just going to put a little glue on one panel, and these fit perfectly. Whoops. These fit perfectly right against the edge of the card. So I just put it up against the edge of the card, and I push it, I fold it both ways. Okay? So it's going right here. So this one is going to butt up against this side. Super easy. Just putting a little glue, and then I like to turn the card so it's closest to me. And then I'm just putting the edge up against the edge of the designer series paper, and I'm giving it a good push. And I like to do it in both directions because depending on how you decorated your card, when you close it, you're either going to bend them this way or you're going to bend them both this way. It does fold flat into the card. All right. So from the top, that's what it looks like. So those are done, and we are going to work on the inside and the front. So you've got your 2 pieces. Let's go ahead and work on the inside first, because then we can close it up and not have to worry about it. So I'm going to grab, I've been making a lot of sympathy cards because that's been a request from some of my customers. that purchase cards from me, they've been wanting sympathy cards, so I didn't have a lot of them. So that's what we're working on. So I'm going to use the, with heartfelt sympathy, I'm going to use that stamp, and I'm just going to grab my Memento ink and do these in black. Get this out of the way. What is that? Got ink on it, so we're going to flip it over. If you have to flip your card over because you have ink on one side and you have a little raised section of your cardstock, just run your bone folder over it. Sometimes when you cut your paper, the opposite side will have a raised edge. That will get rid of that. So this is getting a little dry, so I'm going to ink it upside down so I know it's getting good coverage. And I'm just going to put that right in the corner. Hopefully straight. Yes. All right. Let's put a little cleaner on our cleaning pad. I am very picky about making sure my stamps are clean because I get sidetracked easily and then I don't clean them and they're messy. They're messy and it's all my fault. So let me put that back. All right, so that's done. So now what I wanted to do is we're going to be putting a lot of things on the front. Let me close this up. So I think what I'd like to do is put something on the inside. So I die cut a couple of pieces. I actually die cut, I wasn't sure which one I was going to use. And I'm still missing those flowers. I wonder where they are. I thought this was pretty, or maybe this. I think I'm going to use this. So I just die cut with the Designer Series paper, the tea kettle. And I'm just going to put some glue on the back. Super easy, and there was no stamping involved, just simply die cut it. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with these flowers. Now I used my alcohol blends, my Stampin' Blends markers, and I colored these in with Misty Moonlight, Melon Mambo, and Pool Party, because I wanted to keep that pool party kind of going throughout the card. All right, so that's really pretty. So we are going to go ahead and add that to the inside of the card. See, I've got a little bit of an edge here, so I'm just going to fix it. See, I had that piece of black ink, but no problem. I just flipped my card over. Nobody's going to see it. I've been making quite the mess today. I've been playing with my cards all afternoon. You know, it's raining. What else am I going to do? All right. So that's done. Oh, and I did add a little wink of Stella to my roses. I know you can't see that, but it's there. So now we have this white piece, and it's going to go right here on the front of the card. So I want to decorate that a little bit. Now I decided I'm going to put my sentiments on the outside of the frame. So what I want to do on here, and what I like to do, let me just show you. I like to just kind of take my frame and lay it in place. So I'm just going to pretend I don't know what I'm going to do. So I will lay my paper there, and I'm going to lay my frame here. And then I'm going to start thinking about what I want to do to decorate it. So I know I wanted to use this Flower Market little flower bin. But you know, maybe that doesn't pop out so well with, maybe I want to put that there. I kind of just lay these around to see what looks the best. Maybe this looks better. Ooh, I like that. That kind of pops out a little bit more than the Flower Market. So the Flower Market is probably going to go on the inside. Now, I wish I knew where my flowers are that I colored. All right, let's take a moment and look for those, because they were here a minute ago. And I'm thinking that they're just under something. All right, well, we're going to create some. And I'm going to find it. The second we finish this, I will find my flowers. I keep looking at the floor because that's where they have to be, but they're not, so it's okay. They will only take a second. Okay, now we have our piece, and I'll try very hard not to lose that one. So what I did is I just brushed the light pool party on, gave it a few seconds to dry. It's pretty dry here in Colorado, so everything dries pretty much instantly. And then I went over it with dark pool party and then went back over it with light to give it that shading. So let's pull this back and take a look at what we've got. So I think we were talking about this. So while I was cutting that, I remembered that I actually cut this. So I think this might actually be better. And I think this would look really nice there. And then we could use this piece here. I like it. So now that I know that, I'm going to go ahead, and I'm not putting any words on this, so I can go ahead and glue this right on since I'm not stamping on it. You could actually use another piece of wood grain designer series paper here too if you'd like. That would look nice. So I'm just putting this kind of centered, and now I'm going to see, we have this piece too, but I feel like that's too much pool party. So I'm just going to flip it over and use the wood side. I love this designer series paper though. I'm just putting a couple little drops there. It's just so pretty. And I don't always like the sort of lifelike paper designs, but this one is really, really pretty. All right, now I'm just going to add some here. And I like the way I did this, I think, because my other sample, I don't know, I just kind of like these leaves. Make sure you get your leaves the right direction. I have done this upside down and then looked at it later and went, oh my gosh, my leaves are upside down. So don't make that mistake. All right, so that looks good. So now when we put these flowers here, they kind of cover up this blank space over here. So let's go ahead, and now that we know what we're doing, put some liquid glue here on this panel and this panel. And then the trick to this is I usually I want to line it up visually right in the middle. So I kind of look at my frame, make sure everything's right, and then push this in and push it down, and it's just right on the edge. Everything's lined up on the inside edge. And then I do the same thing over here, making sure everything's straight. And then I push that piece down. And you can tell if you've got everything straight because your panel will match up with the edge of your card. So I'm adjusting that just a bit. All right. And then you just kind of look at it, make sure it's all straight. That looks pretty good. I'm a little bit off. So I just manipulate it. All right, there we go. That looks good. So that's nice and straight. So now I want to add my bucket. So I'm going to look at where my glue needs to go. So I'm only going to put glue here and here. It's kind of like an L shape. And you can have things go off the edge of your card, and I like to look at the back, make sure there's no glue, as long as you have one edge that will not go over the card. So I could make my flower stick out over here because I can fold it this way, or I could make my flower stick out over here because I can fold it this way. So you can just kind of figure that out. Now I'm going to add these right here. These flowers are so pretty. I colored these flowers in Melon Mambo, Daffodil Delight, Misty Moonlight, and Pool Party for the leaves. Oh, you know what I did? I'm sitting there talking. We're going to wipe this off a little. You only want to put the glue on the sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dab this off on my jeans. See, now they're not sticky. So that's good. That took the sticky right off. And I'm going to grab some dimensionals. I think I'm going to put dimensionals on this and make them pop out a little bit from this. So let's grab some minis. So I'm kind of looking at where I want to put these. So we're going to do some minis over here. Let's look one more time. And here. Here. I'm just kind of looking to see where all my flowers are going to go. So I have room for a couple more. Just use your finger. I usually use my fingernail to kind of hold my place so I don't go places I don't want to go. All right. So now I'm going to put that just like that, and none of my dimensionals are where they're not supposed to be. They're all right in place. Okay, so that kind of just popped it away from the frame a little bit, so I like that a lot. All right, so now I also cut this little leaf here, which I think is really pretty. So I am going to, I think, put a message in the corner. I could put it on the bottom too. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to get a scrap of white. I'm just going to reach in my scrap bin, and I'm going to grab my ink, and I'm going to do Sending Love. I think it fits right on here. Yep. Ink it up well. Oh, that did not come out pretty. Do it again. Push too hard. Here we go. I'm telling you, I know my own strength today. All right, wiping all my ink off my fingers. So I'm just going to fussy cut this really quick to put it on the front of my card. And the key with fussy cutting is when you cut, keep your scissors still and move your paper. That way you don't have any harsh edges. You just keep turning your paper and keep your scissors pretty still. I mean, you have to reposition your scissors a little bit, but if you keep them relatively still while your paper's turning, you don't get any harsh lines. So that looks good. So I like to just keep positioning things as I go. So we could put this down here. Actually, I kind of like it down there. And you could also just not use it and just put it on there, but I kind of like that. All right, so I'm going to hold this here. So we could put it up here too, but I feel like it's competing. So I'm going to put it down here. So I'm putting my thumb in this corner because I know I only want my glue where my thumb isn't. So we're going to put a little glue here, 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 here. That should be good. Okay. And I think I'm going to put a little drop on the back of this piece, because it's a little floppy and I don't want it to get caught and tear. So Perfect. All right, and we'll use some dimensionals for this piece. So I'm going to use a mini here and here. And then, look, this sheet's almost empty, so I'm going to grab my designated sticky scissors and cut a few of these edge pieces. Sometimes I'll go around and do the whole entire sheet at once just so they're quick to grab, but I find sometimes I just need a special size, so this sheet hasn't been done. So I'm just grabbing a couple of these rectangles and one more. All right, take these two papers off. I love the take your pick tool for corralling these things, because if I don't corral them, they're all over the RV, sticking to everything. I've even had the dog walk by and one stuck to his booty, so it was kind of funny. All right, so there is the front, and there is the inside. Pretty, right? I ended up not using this Flower Market piece, but that's okay. I'm going to put it in the box for another project. No problem. That happens to me a lot. I get undecided about things, so I just kind of save it for another time. Now I do have, look at that, I dropped my stamp cleaner. That was what that noise was. So I'm going to add a couple of these. I think I'm going to add these Misty Moonlight-ish colors. So where should I put these? I'm going to put one up here because we don't, let's see, I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put a big one up in this corner. I'm just filling some of that blank space we had. And that pulls in a little bit of Misty Moonlight. So there's our card. Let me move some of this stuff out of our way. And these are the rainbow adhesive back dots I had. So I thought those would look nice, and I haven't used those lately. So here is our finished card. So you can close it up and it fits perfectly into an envelope. You can close it either way. Just figure out which side doesn't stick out. So this has nothing sticking out, so this would be the side. And then inside it says with heartfelt sympathy. Here is my other sample I did earlier today, and I stamped the Flower Market bucket in a piece of Designer Series paper, one of the lighter patterns in that pack, and put that on the front. And then I used the different color, the pool party embellishments inside, and I used a little bit different flowers and bucket there. So totally different look. I just changed up the way I did the flowers. So those came out really pretty. I love this one. This is with the Garden Meadow stamp set and the Meandering Meadow Designer Series paper. Don't forget about this set. It is still in the catalog, the annual catalog. It carried over. It's got fabulous dies, stamps, and the Designer Series paper is oh so pretty. I really love it. And I paired it with some of the gold dragonflies and birds. So that one's really pretty. It says, I can't imagine having a better friend. And then on the inside, I just stamped the little birds and colored them in with crumb cake, and then used a leftover piece of the cardstock that we had on the front inside to make it interesting. So really pretty card. And we used the petal pink with the Garden Meadow, and it just really pops. So there is another sample. And then this sample, I used some retired products. This is the Gorgeous Gingham Designer Series paper, and I used the Blueberry Bushel shade. And then this stamp set is the Furriest Friends stamp set. I believe this is still current, but I'm not sure. But it's super, super cute. So if you have this makes a fun little card. And then I add some diamonds, embellishments, and flowers. And then in the inside, I use the sayings from Hope You Know. I love these sayings. So there's a saying, and then there's a sentiment, and then a little phrase that goes with everything. So I love this set. And this one says, hello, friend. You are the sunshine that brightens so many of my days. Super cute card. I love this card. But this stamp set, take a look at it. It has a comfort one. It says, wishing you comfort, may you find peace in the days to come and in the living thoughts that surround you now. So sweet. There's a thank you. There's a thinking of you today and the day after that and the day after that and the day after that and so on. How fun is that? So there's some really great little phrases in here that you can use again and again and again on your cards. So there you go. There are our samples for the double pillar window card. Again, don't forget, I'll have a link below to my blog post, which will have all the information you need. And don't forget to give me a like if you love this video, and subscribe to my channel so you always find out when I post something new. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed seeing this card being made, and I hope you get a chance to make it soon. And I hope you get to craft today. I'll see you next time. Bye.